but certainly I'm glad you came. And if you are new here, you're in for a treat. All right, so today we're going to be doing a get ready with me. You're going to see how I got this thing going. I'm a solid 5, bitch. And we're going to talk about 28 days later, so let's do this thing. All right, so we're about to get started here. I'm going to be using my Jeffy Ina palette. I have no idea what I'm going to create. I'm just going to play. We're going to get ready because I realized I have a collab coming up, and yes, my lips are dry as fuck right now. I have a collab coming up, and I completely and totally did not film an intro for it. And I was like, well, may as well get ready. All right, so today we're actually going to talk about 28 days later. If you are new to my channel, my get readies with me almost always focus around horror movies and or horrible / embarrassing things that have happened to me. So I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be, spoilers, but let's just be honest. This movie is a gazillion years old. If you haven't seen it by now, I literally don't know what to say, but,
spoilers, bitch.
Considering everything that's going on, I thought it would be apropos to talk about this movie. Is that the word? Am I using it right? All right, now that we're going to start getting into it, I had to turn on Baby Bleeds Alive. All right, so 28 days later. The film is by Danny Boyle, who has a very good way of showing the true darkness of humanity, but also showing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean? He doesn't just leave it extra dark, which some horror folks can do that, where you're just like, wow, everything, there really isn't a reason to be here. But Danny Boyle does a pretty good job, in my opinion, of tempering the two things. So this is a movie by him, and it actually starts out with you seeing a bunch of violence on TV and just riots and fighting and killing and murder, all this kind of stuff. So that's how it starts. That's what you see, and that is how it starts. From there, you kind of see these what look like robbers or whatever, and they're busting into the joint. And the robbers are coming in, and they're like, yeah, and they're whispering and shit. And then you see one of them be like, oh God, bitch. Oh my good. Oh my good. I'm gonna try to use some brushes. This is gonna be just as scary for you as it is for me. Okay, here we go. I went into big wig. Okay. Ooh. Just give me a second. We'll get back into the movie. Just give me a moment. Oh, bitch. All right. So anyway, they're all whispering, and they're all, this is glorious. They're all whispering, and they're all just like, ugh, get the monkeys, da da da. And you see them come in, and you then hear a bunch of what I assume are chimpanzees. I believe that they're chimps, and they're just like, ugh, chimps, And they're going, and you see them whispering to them, we're gonna save you. And then you see the requisite scientist lab white coat guy. Oh my fucking God. And he's just like, no. Don't take the chimps. Don't mess with them. And they're like, why? This movie is a British film, but I'm not doing an accent today. And they're just like, why? And he's like, they're infected, hoes. Dramatic reenactment. And they're like, infected with what, bitch? And he was like, rage. And they're like, don't listen to him. So anyway, they proceed to start trying to release the monkeys from, or I know that they're not monkeys, they're chimps, whatever. The point is, they start trying to release them, and then they're sitting there, and one comes running up, screaming fuck, and it's pretty intense. and he just like fucking bites him in the face. And at this point, they're no longer animal activists, okay? They're very upset about this situation. They're like, bitch. Understandably so. I mean, I love animals as much as the next guy, unless it's rabid and trying to bite my fucking face off, in which case, maybe we're not going to be friends, Maybe we're just not going to be friends. And that seems to be the case. They're like beating the poor chimp, like, get the fuck off me. And then old dude just gets up, not like the scientist, but the guy trying to rescue, and he's like, and like hacks out all this like blood, and he's like, ugh, and his eyes start turning red, and then shit just starts popping the fuck off, and it's just like, so you see everybody just kind of running around like, and that is the start of the film, okay? Then, like there's some credits and a few things happening at this point, but it then opens up to the handsome, and if I was ever going to have a baby, my baby daddy, Cillian Murphy. He's tall, he's glorious. I love his cheekbones. Could you imagine if we had babies, both of our cheekbones? I should insert a picture from here. So, anyhow, this is like, I can't live. I can't. Anyways, so anyway, all this shit is going down, and it's getting a little like heated, you know what I mean? But then it pans down to Cillian, Mr. Cillian Murphy, and he is on a hospital bed. Now, let me just set the stage for you. Not only is he on the hospital bed, but he is, I don't know how to say this I'm not even, I'm not monetized yet. I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
He has balls out.
The berries are out. The dingle dangle is dangling. Soft. The dingle dangle is dangling, and it is soft, okay? And I mean it, it's soft. Which, bold choice. And it doesn't look like he had someone, dick in, a stand-in, dick in, I don't know. Anyways, doesn't look like he had anybody do that. So there he is, feeling like, we're all looking at it. And his berries are out there, and we're all just kind of like, all right, babe, do you then. Do you. You know what would help? Light. All right, so we're all sitting there like, do you, boo, and, his stuff is out there in the world. We're all looking at it. We're all like, oh, okay then. And when I tell you, like, I was kind of excited about that. I believe I saw this movie with a boyfriend I did not like. Moving on. I'm pretty sure I did. I did see that movie with a boyfriend I did not like. And the reason I remember seeing the movie with a boyfriend I did not like is because we took separate cars. And at the end of it, he said, Audra, sometimes I think that you don't like me. And I was like, well, all right. Anyhow, back to the movie. So he wakes up and he's just like, hello, and he realizes like there's no fucking body in this hospital. And he's getting nervous about it. He's like, where is everybody? He just kind of wanders around, and then he just starts seeing things like, what is that thing called? What is that thing called, guys? Vending machine. Vending machine. So there he is. He sees that this is beyond this, like, I can't with the gloriousness. So there he is, and he sees a vending machine, and he's hella thirsty. And so he gets something to drink. Ooh, I think am I gonna do it? Wigglies. How you doing, girl? So he is just kind of wandering around, and then he leaves the hospital, and he starts kind of wandering around London. I'm gonna say it's London, like, I think it was London. And by the way, the story behind them getting these shots is like absolutely fucking amazing. But you see him wandering around London, and there's like nothing in London. Like, London is bare, bitch. There's just like wind blowing, and nothing good is happening. And it's looking, apocalyptic. So it looks really nuts. It looks really, really crazy. And this looks so fucking pretty. Oh my good goddess. All right. So he's walking, and you see him go up to this one, like, kind of terminal. And it's got, like, all of these people's, like, there's a bunch of posters, and it's just talking about, have you seen us? It's like missing person posters. There we go. Those are the words I was looking for. And he sees all this and and you can kind of see on his face that he's realizing like some shit has gone down. Like shit has gotten real in this bitch. Like he's realizing it. He's like, I don't know. Things are getting a little, but he still doesn't know the extent. I just spit all over my face. Let's not look at it. But he still doesn't know the extent of what's gone down. So he's just kind of like wandering about, like going, hello, hello. And he wanders into a church. And as he's in this church looking at everything, I think he sees somebody that he thinks is the priest, and he's like, oh my God. And he's like, hello, Father. Or excuse me, Father. And the guy turns around and is like, so he ends up getting rescued, I think. I don't know exactly what happened, but he's like running out of this church. He's freaking out. He gets rescued by, the requisite survivors. There are people who have, survived this shit. And they're all just like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, I was in the hospital. I was hit by a car. He was at, what are those things? Delivery, bike deliverer, bike messenger. Words, he was a bike messenger. So, trying to figure out which direction to take this. How's it looking so far, guys? Do I look weird? I look weird. All right, so anyway, one of the people is a woman, and she is black. See, I told you, this is why I like horror, because black people are fucking represented, okay? They are represented. And in that, there's like this beautiful kind of, you can't tell she's beautiful right there, but she's absolutely stunning. She's a beautiful black woman, and she's there with like, I believe she's hanging out with this other dude. And the other dude, like, they rescue him and they, like, tell him to be fucking quiet and shit. And they kind of explain, like, what happened and that, like, how the whole thing took over, how everybody ended up getting, fucked off and, like, it's spread by blood. And just really telling him, like, what the fuck has happened while he's been, out, cold with his dick out. You know what I mean? So they fill him in on the whole pandemic, and, he's like, okay, well, I gotta see my parents. And they're like, your parents are dead. And he's like, but I gotta see it, as they always do. They're like, but I gotta see if my parents are dead. So don't, like, fucking be on these streets telling me my parents are dead and I don't know that they're for sure dead. These are blending together like, just so, oh my God. Anyhow, so they've devised a plan to, like, go to his parents' house, which they do. They go to his parents' house. And, of course, they, it's a little bit of a journey, and he's learning all this stuff about, like, not bringing, the fucking zombies around. I don't know if they called them zombies, but they're zombies. But he's doing a whole thing about, like, not bringing the zombies around, which is, like, cool as fuck. Like, and they're telling him, like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, this is how we keep the fucking zombies out. And he's like, all right, hoes, I got it. They get to his parents' house, only for him to find that his parents decided not to live through this. They were like, no thanks, and they kind of took themselves out of the equation. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to hole up at the house for a little bit. And they're holed up at the house. And, you can kind of see some sparks flying between Cillian and the black girl. Listen, I can't remember her name because I was really focused on Cillian Murphy. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Oh, my God, so beautiful. So with that being the case, this is so gorgeous. I can't stand it. Like, the colors are just, I'm making like a purpley, I have no idea what I'm doing. Moving on. I'm sorry. I got distracted by the beauty of this eyeshadow. Okay. So anyway, at some point they're hanging out and they're doing shit, and then, I think, and I could be a little bit wrong here, but, like, something happens to the white dude. I don't know.
The other white dude.
Something happens to him. Like, I think somehow, like, a zombie gets in and they're fighting it off. He gets bitten. He's like, you guys fucking go, man. And they're like, okay, bro. So they're going to go. I do not have glue, so I've got a little plan for this. like, oh, I'm just going to pop this here because I'm going to put on foundation, but I wanted to see what this would look like because I know that there would be fallout. So I just need to see kind of what it would look like so that I can kind of play with it when I have my foundation on my face. All right. But we are going to throw like another little color in here. Okay. Okay. So he ends up getting eaten and he's like, you guys need to go. And they're like, okay, we're going to live. Like, they didn't even give it a second thought. I think maybe for a second she was like, no, dude, like, we want to be your friend. But then, you know, she took off because Cillian was way hotter. Fucking fact. Cillian was, like, stupid hotter, and she was, like, about that life. And so she left with Cillian, and then they take off. And somehow they end up meeting, like, a father and his daughter. They're in, like, a hotel or something. Like, a hotel. They're in a hotel, and they're having, like, a time, and they end up kind of holding up in that hotel for a little while. They're just like having a good time, but in this time frame you find out that like the way that this is spread is, I don't know what I'm doing, the way that this is spread is that essentially, there we go, that's what I wanted, that is exactly what, oh, that's pretty, okay, go me. The way this spreads is through blood, and then blood can fall anywhere. Like if it falls in any of your orifices, you have the disease. This is setting you up for some shit. So they're like hanging out with the daughter and the dad, and then they decide they got to get the fuck out of London because they hear a radio broadcast. Yes, you heard me right, a radio broadcast. And the radio broadcast is essentially telling them, you know, there is a safe zone for people if they have like, if they're not zombies, then they can come to the safe zone. So they're all like super excited and they're like, yes, bitch, we're gonna go to the safe zone. This is gonna be awesome. And it's going to be nice, and we're going to have food and water and like running water. It's going to be, you know, the tits. So they're all sitting there thinking that they're going to do this thing and it's going to be awesome. And they decide we've got to get the fuck out of London. They do a whole thing to get out of town, and now they're driving. And they're just really having mostly a good time. The daughter is really cute, funny, awesome, but she's lost her mother in this whole kerfluffle. Okay, it's been a little rough on her. She lost her mother. And, you know, you felt bad. Like, it was terrible. Because, you know, and her dad had to do the right thing, and they all did the right thing. They escaped, and it was just heartbreaking, to be honest. And so, off they go to do the things, and they're, like, riding around, and they end up having a good time. They have a whole tunnel that you think, like, a lot of bad shit is going to happen in, which a little bit of bad shit happens, but not, like, a lot of bad shit happens to where you're scared or, like, super nervous about it. I mean, you are nervous, but, like, it doesn't go down the way that you thought it was going to go down, which gives you, like, hope for the world and everything. So they're there, you know, and you're getting a little bit of hope for the world, a little bit of joy, a little bit of, like, because they're just doing, like, wholesome ass shit, you know what I mean? They're just doing, like, wholesome stuff, and they're playing, and they're having fun. And they're getting really excited about getting closer and closer to like the new joint. And you know, you can feel that they're like becoming a little family as they go on this journey to like be saved and be safe. And then this like fucking bird, and you've been seeing these birds around for a little bit, but you don't really think about it. It's like a crow, and it goes, Garr! And it's like fucking with an eyeball or something. And the dad's like, get off of him, because he wants, you know, them to have fucking respect for the dead, even though it's a crow. Or raven, I don't know. All right, we're gonna throw some foundation on. Who knows what's gonna happen with this later? It's whatever it is. The light has changed a little bit. I'm sorry, it just got darker. Apocalypse. So anyways, the dad goes over to get this damn crow or whatever off of the body, and then like as it flies off, the guy looks up, the dad looks up, and what should happen?
Fucking blood drops in Dad's eye.
This moment is just heart-wrenching because you know that the little girl has lost her mother, and now here she is about to lose her father. Like, she knows it. And he is like, no, get away from me, because he knows he's going to turn. And he's like ready to take himself out. It's just, oh my God. It's honestly one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in a movie I've seen in a long time, because he's just, aside from Train to Busan, there's actually, give me like I'll give y'all a little bit of time to watch it. I swear, if I ever got a Patreon, that's what we would do. We would just watch horror movies and discuss. All right. So anyhow, there he is, and he's struggling and all this stuff, and he's like, get away from me, and she's like, Dad, no. And lo and behold, just as they're having to figure out how to get away from him and all this stuff, In comes the cavalry. And it's the guys who are gonna save them, you know, from all the shit. It's the safe zone guys. And they're like, yes! But you already feel it, okay? You know where I'm going. They're all male. So they're an all-male crew, and you can see exactly what's happening here. You get a sense of foreboding, and you had it before, as you do with most disaster movies. As soon as like some crew comes in, it's so crazy. This is a 10 times mirror, guys, and like I thought my pores were so big, and they're big, but they're not nearly as big as I thought they were. Anywho, and they're like taking them back to the safe compound. All right, and everybody's like, oh, cool, and they're starting to be able to do cool shit, like have a hot shower. They even show them their zombie. You know, they have one of them, and it's chained up in the back, and they were talking about like how they're just trying to figure out how they work and all this stuff, and they have the place zombie proofed, so you know it does feel very safe, and they're just like eating dinner and shit. And they're just talking about like life now and what life looks like now as opposed to what it used to look like, you know, like when they used to go to the store and eat dinner, you know, all the good shit before the apocalypse. That's what they're talking about, and the things that they miss now that like apocalypse is here. So you can kind of tell that things are getting a little hinky, because like the way that those dudes are looking at them. Now remember, the daughter is there. She's probably 13. And I think that they do say her age at some point, but I've forgotten. I haven't watched this since like last week. Anyway, I can't remember if they go to bed or whatever, but now comes the time. I think it's while they're at dinner, and he's like telling basically the story of how they're all safe and why they're safe. And then he looks at Cillian's fine ass and says,
I promised them women.
and then he takes him away, and they're like, his name's Jim. His name's Jim. That's who Cillian plays. And he's like, and she's like, Jim! 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 And it's too late. They're like grabbing Jim, they're taking him away, and the girls are like, the fuck? And then he's like, nope. Promise them women. So then it's like, okay, they want them to get like dressed up, and they make the girls get dressed up. And Jim is just like trying to figure out like what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? Because he's like, I gotta save these girls. Like he's a good guy, and he's gotta save them. He's gotta save the black chick, which is his girlfriend. Yeah. I'm gonna call her Dora. I can't remember her name. We're just gonna call her Dora because she's an explorer. All right. So you see all this going down, and you're like, all right, how is he gonna save him? And he ends up breaking free. But like before all that's going down, you can see that she's just like, she's 13, and he has them sitting on this couch, and you know, she's sitting there holding the girl's hand, but at the time you see that she kind of hands her something. What? Yeah, she gives her drugs so that she doesn't know what's happening to her, because obviously in the apocalypse you want to have as many drugs as possible, you know, in case you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, and it turns out your saviors aren't your saviors. So anyway, she's there with her saviors, and she's there, and she's got the drugs, and she's giving them to him. And then once the guy kind of figures out that like they're taking drugs, he gets all mad and like takes them. I don't know why you would take them. She's 15, you dirty bastard. Why would she want this anyway? Like you're already forcing it. That made me so mad. Like just let her have the drugs. I didn't understand why it was important for them to like not. I think it's because they thought they were killing themselves, and they weren't killing themselves. But regardless, maybe if you'd been nice to them, let her grow up. Maybe should have been interested, dick face. Anyhow, as all of this is going down, you start hearing like a kerfluffle. Jim has gotten loose. So now, remember that zombie I told you about that they had chained up somewhere? Jim lets that motherfucker free. He's like, be free, zombie. Fuck some shit up. To which zombie is like, you bet your ass. Doesn't even go for Jim. He was like, I'm not about you. I'm about these mofos. They had me chained up. So, as all of this is going down, they start hearing the kerfluffle. They're like, what the fuck's going on? Mean super captain guy is like, go check it out. You know, like they always do with their minions. Like, go check out what's happening. I'm going to go do my brows, and then I'll be back. All right. My eyebrows decided to be cousins today. We're not going to talk about it. Moving on. Now you can tell the heat is on. Shit's getting real. And it's going to be a little ugly. This is going to be really drippy, and you're going to look at me like, bitch, what are you doing? This is how I like to do it now. I have a powdery one, and I'm doing it this way now. Don't talk to me. All right, anyhow. So you see that going down. There's a big showdown between Jim and Super Soldier Guy. And Jim, of course, is going to win. And it was pretty intense. It's like, that's what fighting is in the movie. That's whenever you hear that sound, that's the fight sounds. And so they're doing the fight sounds, and then, you know, they end up winning. He rescues the girls. They're very happy about it. Now, keep in mind, Dora had rescued Jim like several times. This is the first time he's rescued her, which is cute as fuck, by the way. And she's very excited about it. She's like, my prince. So she's very happy. She's excited about Jim rescuing her. And then you cut to them, basically all three of them, him with like Dora. It's like Jim and Dora, and they're just like living their best lives, you know what I mean? Like they're in this like cabin, and they're in these woods, and it's quite lovely. And it actually really is. It's very pretty. They're in the woods. It's very pretty in the woods. It's glorious. They're having a nice time. And a plane flies over, and they're like, oh my God, we're totally saved. And they like run off, you know what I mean? To like be saved. They're like, yes. And then, you know, Jim and Dora kiss, and you realize like the plague is like, it's over. It's done, you know. No need to buy all the toilet paper. So that is essentially 28 days later. Because basically it's like the plague came, 28 days later, there was fucking nothing left, okay? Whoa, I almost dropped it again. Obviously, I don't like that palette if I keep trying to drop it. Moving on. So, I've given you the plot of the movie with some dramatic reenactments, which I hope you enjoyed. Now we're going to talk about one of the reasons, like some of the reasons why I absolutely adore and love this movie. So one of the things that I absolutely love about this movie is just like that overreaching feel where you feel like, yeah, humanity is garbage. Humans are pieces of shit, right? Because that's what it feels like, especially when you get to like the soldiers who are supposed to be helping everybody, but really they just use that as a lure to try to get women. Do you know what I mean? Like that's really what they were doing, was like, we've got to get women. He promised them women, which is such a weird thing to promise in the apocalypse, which I've tried to get this answered by guys before, and mostly they just say like, that's all we think about. I don't understand it. I'm not a guy. But I just think that for me, I mean, maybe it would be something that you think about to like get back to normalcy, I guess. Like, is it the same on both sides? We're going to say it is. But, and I get it, because even in The Walking Dead, they did that too. Like, everybody was just humping like rabbits because it was like, the world's away. So, with that being said, I do kind of get a little bit of that mentality of like, everything's over, let's do it. I'm going to try not to say the words I was going to say. I didn't want to get in trouble. You know, so like, I get that kind of, I get the idea, like, the world's over, let's bang, we don't have much to live for, you know? And that seemed to be like the kind of overreaching ideas, like the world's over, let's bang. But even though there's like this intense darkness in the movie, especially with regard to people being able to like live a good life and not have, we're gonna try edges, we're gonna fuck with some stuff here, and not have to be like stressed out and not have to have fear. Like, what would you do if you woke up and it was a fucking nightmare? And it just becomes very obvious that like some people woke up and were good people, and then other people woke up and were like,
we've got to have some sex.
So it really just becomes a question of like, which one were you? Apparently the soldier guys. But anyways, the point was, is there a point? Am I getting anywhere? But why I liked it is because it really did temper that like overreaching feeling of, you knew as soon as you heard there was like a safe zone, you just felt like it wasn't going to be safe. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all human beings. And I liked how in the movie, like, how he made that kind of pan out. Like, how he just did a thing where he just, played on the fear that we all had that this wasn't going to pan out. We all kind of knew that this wasn't going to be a thing. It wasn't going to be a safe zone. It was going to be super shitty. We knew it. But the way that Danny Boyle made all of that come to fruition and how he handled it was tits. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really good because he handled it very well. Because it's a very sensitive subject, to be honest. It's a very, very sensitive subject to be hitting that point, especially with the actress who was young. She was young, and then, like, she played the part very well, and how it was all played out. And really giving you that idea that, like, at the end of the world, people are still baseless fucking assholes. And so with that being there, I think it was just really, really cool how it was just played and how it was done. And I felt like that was just a really nice, it was done well, it was done tastefully, and it wasn't all like, what? You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but it just it wasn't a weak ass bitch move, and it wasn't like, of course this is gonna happen. To me, I just felt like it was very much a feeling of, like, were you nervous? Yes. Were you worried? More than a little bit. Let's use a little bit of credit on that right here, just right there. This is so fun. But the other thing I liked about it was that there was hope, right? And it was like, it felt a lot like life, which I know it's gonna make me like, bitch. But it did. It felt, I'm gonna use, I've got an idea. I'm gonna see if this works out. If it doesn't, I'll just put black on top of it. Like, the point of this is to play. So I'm gonna play. But it felt very much like life. Like, you knew that good and bad things were gonna happen. And you were very much aware that it wasn't just gonna be a very easy journey. And as with all zombie movies, you were very much aware that somebody was gonna have to die. I think I'm gonna have to use a different one. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this side too. But yeah, so I just felt like it was very much like you went on this roller coaster ride, and it felt very much like you were part of this crew in the best possible ways. And then also, like, I liked how in the end good won out, right? Like, in the end, people who were good people, like, they won out, and the shitty panic didn't win, the disease didn't win, even though there's a sequel, but the disease didn't win. These people got to do, they got to live, and they made it through, and they made it through by not being assholes. That's what I really liked. They made it through by not, like, deciding to destroy other people. Do you know what I mean? Instead of them coming through and, like, being dick faces and really just being out in the streets, like, hurting others and destroying others and being the kind of monsters that would just, like, really take somebody down and, like, and become their basest selves, they maintained. Do you know what I mean? Like, they continued to maintain, and I liked that aspect of it. Like, I liked that they continued to maintain. I liked that they just were still like, nope, we're gonna live and we're gonna do this the right way. We're not gonna be like those soldiers. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's basically what you see is, like, the difference between good and evil. You see what I'm talking about? The difference between good and evil. All right, I'm gonna do liner and be back. We're gonna use a little black. Liner's on. It went a little nuts, but we're not gonna talk about it. But yeah, I just really liked that. I liked that it really just showed that light and dark, good and bad. And if you choose to be, like, ugly and disgusting in life, then you're going to be ugly and disgusting later. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, these guys were dickheads, and they were awful, and they got exactly what was coming to them, because you know what happened? Do you know what happened? They got eaten by zombies, and they became zombies. The very things they didn't want to be, all because they wanted women. And it was like, you get the sense that that wasn't the first time they did it. That was the thing about it, is you very much got the sense, because here's the thing, the corporal or whatever, because the zombie that they had chained up was, I believe, one of their men or something like that, or so you think. And I think they talk about him, but I'm not positive. But I have a very strong suspicion that they had tried to do this shit before, and that guy wasn't about it, and therefore, zombie. Now he's a zombie. Do you see what I'm saying? Good and evil. Good and evil. So what we learned from this movie is, one, There are things and circumstances beyond your control. And as a person with anxiety, I hate that. But if I give in to panic and I freak out every time something happens, I'm not going to be able to live my life. And I can choose which way I want to go, right? I can be on the darkest side of humanity, like, say, these people who are hoarding supplies and trying to price gouge them. Or I can be on the good side of humanity, which means I'm just going to continue living my life because there are things completely out of my control that I can't do anything about, I can't change, I cannot fix. Like, absolutely nothing. I can do absolutely nothing about it. Nothing. It's not going to fix it. Like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to go better or worse. It's just, it is going to be exactly what it is. The other thing I learned from this movie is keep your mouth closed. You know what I mean? Keep your mouth closed, because you know what happens when you don't? Other people's business falls in. Oh my God! Congratulations, Danielle Schmidt.
Congratulations!
Yes. When this goes up, if y'all don't know where I think it's on my recommended. Say congratulations to Danielle Schmidt. She just got engaged. Yes, bitch. Anyways, I'm so sorry. I was looking for music to. Okay. I just want to like take this up just like a little extra, like, because I'm feeling extra as fuck right now. So don't get mad at me. But so there's also like film things about this that are awesome. And one of them is that's the first time we've ever seen fast-moving zombies. So for those of you that aren't keeping score and don't know, up until this point, zombies were slow. And that was like one of the breakthrough things in this movie, was that these zombies were not slow. They were like fast as fuck, and they were coming for you, girl. They were coming. And it was kind of cool. It was like a cool, like, I liked that. It was like a departure to me. I like to kind of get it like so this is super glittery, so I like to take like my wet sponge and just kind of see. Just give it a little and then right there, and then we're going to use a brush to make her calm the fuck down. Yeah, that was the first time that you ever saw fast-moving zombies, and they've been fast-moving ever since. People don't... See, that's one of the things. People do not give Danny Boyle enough credit, because he's the one who made them fast-ass moving zombies, and we really weren't thinking about that shit. We were just sitting in our houses just doing our damn thing, and he came out and said, you know what, we're going to have zombies, but they're not going to be regular-ass zombies. They're going to be fast. They're going to be crazy fucking fast. So 28 Days Later is actually... in all seriousness, one of my most favorite zombie movies. Because, like I said, it was the first to have fast-moving zombies. And it had like a good ending. Do you know what I mean? It had a good ending. Like, instead of everybody just like being in despair, like, fuck, it's all over, the world is done. I liked that this one had like a nice, happy ending. And they were going to get rescued. You could see that humanity survived. And I feel like that's very appropriate for like right now. You know what I mean? Humanity survived. People made it. Everybody was okay. Good to go. All right. So we've talked about the movie. I'm going to spritz my face right quick. Am I? 28 Days Later is... Wait. But yeah, 28 Days Later is literally one of my most favorite zombie movies. It's always going to stand out to me, just specifically because it was a really, really good film. I loved the way that it was shot. It was shot, even when it came out, it was shot in, I think it was like, it looked kind of 8mm-y, but it wasn't 8mm-y. Do you know what I'm saying? It was kind of dingy and grungy. Danny Boyle has a way about doing that kind of stuff with his cinematography. It's fucking phenomenal. All right, so I'm finished. This okay? It's okay. I did something. What did you think about the something I did?
kamikaze, blinded by the show lights, paparazzi. They know I'm a gold mine. Everybody know me where I go. Why suicidal, hanging with the low. I'm the legend, I'm a fixer, painting portraits. Get the picture like the paper, not the swisher. I'm your elder, call me mister. Y'all should probably do the math. I done been to hell and back. Remo had me in the ass. White boys hitting dabs. Went from bummy to your girl probably bumped me. Thoughts of things, turn a 5 to dime.
Days later, what do you guys think about that movie? Did you like it? Have you seen it? Do you want to see it now if you haven't seen it? Listen, my dramatic reenactment of it is really, it's not the same, so go see it. What do you think of the look? Is it all right? I love this palette. I love it. I'm going to play with this for like an eternity. You're going to see this way too much. And oh well, that's life. That's life. All right, guys, if you would, please consider subscribing. If you're not already subscribed, hit the like button on your way out, or shit, hit thumbs down. Whatever you want to do, it's your choice. You get those. And until next time, I love each and every one of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And deuces.